Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple, the show where we talk about all things board game related. Today we're here with a review of Codenames Duet. This is the latest one in the Codenames series. This one changes things up a little bit. It's 2 players only and not really a party game.
Yeah, and it's designed by Vlada Shavato and a new guy named Scott Eaton.
Yeah, interesting story about this guy. He actually brought the idea to them, wanted to publish it, and this is a cool story where a publisher sort of embraced that, worked with them, got the thing published.
Yeah, so it is a 2-player game. However, it can be played with a group if you so wish. There are rules within the game that allow you to play multiplayer. However, it is based around a 2-player experience. It's the same code names that you guys have played before and loved, but there's some subtle nuances in the game that make it extremely different than the original. I think the experience is extremely different than the original Codenames.
First of all, this is not head-to-head. This is a cooperative game with the 2 players. So you're working together. And it makes it a little bit more of a gamer's game.
Yeah.
These Codenames Duet, there's a lot more quiet thinking between 2 people, like a chess match almost, but you're working together, as opposed to the original, which is more of a boisterous party game.
Right, so the game comes with a number of different components. You have the cards here that signify what the players on each of the different sides of the table are trying to guess. You have your blank spaces, which are your bystanders. You have your green spaces, which are the actual clues that you're trying to give to the player. And then you have your 3 black X's, which are assassins. We'll get into how the gameplay works in a moment. There's 100 of those cards. There's a lot of variety in that. There's also 200 brand new clues, double-sided 400.
Yeah.
Completely new that can be compatible with the original Codenames.
Yeah, that's almost worth it in and of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, in addition, you get a whole new game. Plus, the next thing you're going to see the agents that you're accustomed to. These are going to be shared between the 2 players, obviously. The 1 assassin, and then there's, I think, 11 bystanders in the box because there's some variability with how many you use, but you use a base 9 in the standard game.
Right, so you're going to lay out the board just like you would with original Codenames. You have a 5x5 grid. They're all going to be pointing to one direction. However, they're mirrored so you can see the words. You're going to pick one of these cards and you're going to secretly put it in here so that each player can't see what the other player is looking at. Now again, let's get into what these cards show. You have a number of bystander locations. You have a number of agent locations that you're trying to get the opponent to, or your cooperative partner to guess. And then you have 3 assassins on each side of the card that you do not want the other player to guess. Now what's cool about this, when you look at these cards, the top on my side is the top facing him, and the top on his side is the top facing me. One of my agents is also one of his bystanders on his side.
The assassins.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. One of my assassins is a bystander on his side. My second assassin is one of his agents on his side. And my last assassin is an assassin.
Right.
So,
and the same thing goes for my side as well.
Yeah.
But of course, both sides of the card are very different. Now, this doesn't really, it just messes with your head a little bit as you play, because you might be trying to get someone to guess a word and that person looks at their card and sees that it's an assassin. That doesn't mean they can't pick it, but it still kind of gets under your skin a little bit.
Yeah, it changes the way in which you approach the game, but it also helps the players deduce which things they may have chosen, which they may not have chosen. So the basic gameplay works in the exact same way. You're going to look at your board and say, I don't know, USA 3. And then your opponent's going to guess those number of areas. And if they're right or wrong, you're going to place the agents on them. If they're wrong, you're going to take one of the bystanders and you're going to place it. And these bystanders have arrows that always point down, but you're going to face it towards the player that guessed. And that gives you an idea on who guessed that location, because it could be wrong for him, but it could be an actual agent for me.
Right. And then finally, obviously, if you choose an assassin, you place the assassin token out there and you lose the game.
Yeah.
Now, on the bystanders too, these tokens act not only as Jeremy just described, but even if you successfully get all of the clues, you're going to take one of these bystander tokens, flip it over, and keep it as sort of a successful turn, if you will, because these act as the timer in the game. The standard game has 9 of these, so you're basically going to go back and forth 9 different times.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you'll succeed in getting all the clues, because if you miss any, you really start to run short on time. This is a tough game.
And if you know the math behind it, each of the different players is trying to make the other player guess 9 agents. That means you really have to hit 2 or 3 on every single one of the guesses.
No single clues in this game.
Yeah, this is definitely an elevated gamer's game when you're trying. It'll test your ability to see if you're good at Codenames.
Yeah,
for the most part.
That's what we've talked about, is that it's a great experience to get you better at Codenames, because you're both in it, you're not competing, and you really have to force yourselves to get 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do a 1, someone's going to have to make up for it big time.
So how does this game end? It ends in a variety of different ways. 1, if one of the players guesses the assassin, it's game over. That's it.
Yeah.
If at any point each of the players have all 9 of their agents discovered, that will end the game, and that's the good way to end the game. Now, you'll know that there's 15 of these. That means that all 15 will have to be placed up on the board. Some, again, overlaps, because 9 plus 9 isn't 18, it's 15 in this case. Weird math there. Now, if by happen chance that you place all the bystanders out, or each player has taken their 9 rounds through the game, you have one more chance.
Yeah, this
is
is the Hail Mary aspect of the game. So if all the bystanders or those tokens are gone, there's no more clues given, but you can still guess. Now the cool thing is say if Jeremy's gotten me to guess all my words, then I'm done guessing, and Jeremy's it's gonna be on his shoulders. He has to guess one word after the other. Hopefully, throughout the game, I've given some clues that maybe he missed, but he'll be able to remember those clues and say, oh, you know what, he wasn't thinking of this, he was thinking of this word. So one at a time, he has to guess a word. If he gets them successfully all the way, we grab victory. If not, at any time, if you flip over a bystander or the assassin, of course, you lose.
And then there's this.
Yeah, this is sort of the expanded campaign game. No one ever thought there would be a campaign aspect to Codenames Duet, but there is. This is basically a way, it comes with a map that kind of embraces the spy aspect of the game. But you're traveling around this map. You start on a location that starts with the standard game. And basically, if you succeed there, you can look at the map and go in one of several different directions, following each of those to a dead end, but each location gets more difficult and more difficult. And this is all related to the bystanders that are out here.
Yeah.
We start with 9 bystanders, and then it might take some of those away. It might flip some of them over so they cannot be used as bystanders, but they can still be used as successful round markers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of those are hard too. Some of them have 0 mistakes, so you can't make any bystander mistakes.
Yeah, so it's not technically a campaign, it's just a way to challenge a group, a group of individuals better. And as we said, it also plays in multiplayer. You can have a group that works with a cooperative group. So let's talk about the review.
Yes.
Personally, I like the game. I think it's a very cool 2-player cooperative game. However, if you really like Codenames, the great thing about Codenames is it's such a social aspect. I mean, it's such a social game. You sit down at a convention and you have a group of 20 people against 20 people, and everyone's kind of throwing ideas back and forth, and that's fun. You kind of lose that element in the 2-player cooperative game.
I totally agree. You lose the sort of party element.
Yep.
It still has the same fun of what you're doing. So on the flip side, the mirror side of that is the original Codenames doesn't have this.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't have, if you tried to play, make up your own 2-player variant, except for this one, of course, it just never worked really well. It wasn't very fun. This is a great opportunity for people who love Codenames, if they find themselves just 2 players, to sit down, practice, play. It's fun, and I gotta tell you, it is challenging.
It is very hard.
Like, we played, I don't know how many games.
4 or 5 times, and I don't think we won once.
We didn't win once yet.
Yeah, it's a very challenging game. Very cool twist on the Codenames formula. If you guys want to check it out, it's going to be at Gen Con. Brand new release there.
Yep, brand new release at Gen Con. They had it at Origins, but not for sale. That's where I first played it.
If you guys have questions about the game, make them in the comments below. Follow us on Facebook, like us on Twitter. If I said that backwards, do it the other way around. And we will catch you guys at Gen Con this year.
Bye-bye.
Season 2 of Man vs. Meeple is sponsored in part by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.